Okay. So we're now going to talk about integrated weed management. Now, when we're talking about the critical period of for weed control, there was a slight introduction into weed management. Now, when we are talking about integrated weed management, we're combining various methods of weed control so as to reduce weed growth, spread of weed seeds, weed seed bank size. We think the integrated weed management could sustain crop yields. Here I have a list of weed control methods. We've got mechanical methods, which could be hand hoeing, which is commonly used. Then land preparation using multiple plows and disc harrows. Fast shallow cultivation techniques, use of harrows and the mealy pit. You can use the harrows soon, just before crop emergence or just at emergence. Cultivation, use of ox cultivation using tiny cultivators or ox pulled mold board or ridges. You can also use the tractor mounted cultivators. Chemical control, there are opportunities for using herbicides. We can use pre-plant incorporated herbicides such as trifluralin, EPTC. We can use pre-emergence herbicides. Examples, atrazine and metolachlor. We can even use post-emergency herbicides. We've got glyphosate, gramoxone, stirastar, nicosulfuron, basagran, and fusilade. So for the herbicides, we've got at different times, we've got herbicides which can suit the application. This is hand weeding or hoeing. What is important is the timing when to do it. If it is delayed, then weed competition is going to affect crops. It can involve a lot of labor. Hand weeding is the common method of weed control. It involves the use of hand hoes to remove weeds, and it's time consuming. Now, in November and December, there could be serious demand for labor to do various tasks. It could be planting, weeding. Then there are labor bottlenecks, and this is what leads to delayed weeding. Hand weeding has to be combined with other methods in order to reduce the weed burden. This is the moldboard plow, which can be used to remove weeds at just before planting, during the preparation. Disc plow can also remove weeds during lead preparation. This is a typical ox plow, which can be used under smallholder farming conditions. This is another plow, but this one is slightly modified, which could be heavy for animals. This is land preparation. Land preparation, you can see some farmers remove the hitch assembly. That's why this plow is not steady. Again, using draft power to plow. This is a disc harrow, which can also remove weeds. So land preparation is critical. Weeds can be removed during this period. However, it can also bury weed seeds, which can become dormant. And they can provide new weeds later on. When weed seeds are brought to the surface and the dormant is broken, and you get weed seedlings. Some people argue whether land preparation really controls weeds, because farmers are growing in circles. When you think you are controlling the weeds which you are seeing, you are also creating good conditions for other weeds to germinate, which means you still have to come in. Use of spike tooth harrows after planting. This is for fast, shallow cultivation. This could be effective in reducing weed requirements if it is done. But it appears some farmers do not take advantage of the spike tooth harrow. Because what can happen soon after planting, but just before crop emergence, you come in with a harrow. Some farmers are afraid of damaging their crops. So this is the fast shallow cultivation, which can be targeted on the first flush of weeds. The first flush of weeds are more competitive, but this may not be effective under wet conditions. And it may also not be effective for big weeds. It can be used to incorporate herbicides. This is the spike tooth harrow. Another spike tooth harrow, which is animal drawn. Spike tooth harrow, which is animal drawn. This is a millipede or a rotary cultivator. Another rotary cultivator. This is used during lead preparation. It can actually remove the weeds just before planting. Now, post-emergence cultivations, we can employ ox cultivators fitted with the 5 tines, and this can be effective in removing between row weeds. But if you delay its use at 60 centimeters of crop it can damage the crops which are above 60 centimeters. It can also live in raw weeds, which you need to remove by supportive hand weeding. So you can combine ox cultivation with hand weeding. This is inter-row cultivation, removing of the between row weeds. This is the ox cultivator. This is what we call a dark foot tine, which is fitted at the back. At the back here, there's a special tine. Or you can put, these are healers. These are the tines. So these are the cultivator tines which can remove the weeds. This is a tractor-drawn tiny cultivator. Again, tiny cultivator, which is, you can have 3 tines, depending with your row spacing. Mold body plows, they can also be used to remove weeds. If you have got a board which is attached, a plow 2 passes for the between row space. And in the process, it creates some ridges which can conserve moisture. And these ridges have to be tied so that water doesn't run away from the field. Well, some farmers may not tie the ridges, so they lose a lot of water from their fields. Now, if you remove the board from the plow, it means the plow has to do 4 passes to clear the weeds in the between row space. And this is not a good idea because it leads to dry soil profiles and it can cause moisture stress. Instead of the plow, the ridges could also be used. This can go in 1 pass and create ridges. This can actually reduce labor requirements for hand weeding. Here we are seeing a slide with an ox. There's an ox plow there. Now that ox plow is not easy to control because the hitch assembly was removed. And it is common for farmers to remove the hitch assembly from their plows because they think the hitch assembly makes the plow heavy for animals. This is the ridger, which can be used to remove weeds. Now, apart from mechanical methods, we can also employ the use of herbicides. Here I've got a range of these herbicides which have to be sprayed. So this is the spraying of pre-emergence herbicides. Now, herbicides such as atrazine and metolachlor can be targeted to maize, and this can release labor to do other things. Now, you have got, there are options for applying herbicides. It's either you apply overall spray, that is, you are covering every space, or you can target your herbicides along the crop rows. That is band application, and you can combine band application with the ox cultivation. Now, if you are band applying the herbicides, you are using half the recommended doses. So you can reduce the cost of the herbicide application. There are also cultural methods to consider: time of planting. Early planting is known to increase crop yields, but it may expose the crops to the first flush of weeds, which are highly competitive. Now, it may be better to do early planting, then you combine it with the use of harrows to remove the first flush of weeds. So after planting, you come in with the harrows to hit the first flush of weeds. Intercropping, it has always been reported that growing two crops, especially maize and cowpeas, can suppress weed populations. Mashingaidze in 2004 found that pumpkins can reduce weed biomass. There are some farmers who practice intercropping. This is the example of intercropping. Crop rotations are also likely to reduce weed populations because some crops are allelopathic to weeds, things like sorghum, pearl millet, and the cowpeas. This is a pearl millet. This is a cowpea. This is sorghum. Other crops, growing velvet bean in fallow areas can increase nitrogen, and at the same time, it also decreases the weeds. So this is a velvet bean. Use of cattle manure and fertilizers. It may be better to do spot application as opposed to blanket application. Spot application can reduce weed infestation. We know fertilizers can break domains of weed seeds and cause seedling emergence. So you can restrict the emergence of weeds where you are putting your fertilizers or manure. Cattle manure are also known to be associated with Leucine indica and Amaranthus hybridus. It is the curing of the manure which may reduce the viability of the weed seeds, but some farmers do not actually cure this manure. And as a result, manure application is always associated with a lot of weeds under field conditions. So here is a slide showing manure, cattle manure, which can carry a lot of weed seeds. Use of crop genotypes. There are some crop genotypes like sorghum, sunflower, cowpeas, which are allelopathic. This may reduce weed pressure. There are also other crop genotypes which could tolerate weed competition. In conservation agriculture, there's the use of mulch, which is always recommended, which has got the potential of suppressing weeds through aeropathy or altering light quality, which reduce weed seedling emergence. Conservation agriculture has also been reported to either increase or decrease weed seedling emergence, probably depending on the way it has been done. Here we've got maize mulch, but you can see there's not a lot of maize mulch, but it can also suppress weeds. Now, there are opportunities for integrated weed management. Now, this integrated weed management may vary depending on the farm. There are opportunities to look at plowing during land preparation, planting weed tolerant genotypes, if we can identify them. When we manage fertilizers and cattle manure, we can try to do spot application. We can also use harrowing as an operation after planting so that we reduce weed seedling emergence. Hand hoeing should be hand hoeing or band application of herbicides can be combined with ox cultivation or ox plowing. There's also a need to utilize intercropping and the crop rotations. But using these components, one can develop an integrated weed management suitable for a given farm or a given place, because the components may differ in intensity of use depending on the farm. Now, there are certain papers which you may need to read on integrated weed management. There's a paper which was written by Mantumbu et al. Integrated Weed Management in Zimbabwe's smallholder sector. Where are we? It's a review. This is a very good paper which can help to summarize or to give an insight into integrated weed management. Now, the authors are referring to, components of integrated weed management being used in reduced levels. In fact, they talk of small little hammers which are combined together to produce a bigger effect. If you read the paper, you may get the concept. It's an interesting paper. At first, when I read it, I could not comprehend what they were trying to say on the little hammers. There's also a thesis by A.B. Mashingaidze on improved weed management and crop productivity systems, which may also help us to understand weed management. Another paper, Integrated Weed Management Practices for Adoption in the Tropics. You may read it and see what is being suggested together with this lecture, and see probably what could be the most ideal thing to do. Well, I think that should be it on integrated weed management. Now I want to move on to weed identification, which you may use for, you may use that information in your practicals. So we'll go through the weed identification. We want to have an idea about the weeds which we have in Zimbabwe. So I'll have to stop this first and start all over.